Fuufu Ijou episode 12, or More Than a Married Couple But Not Lovers episode 12, the final episode. And I have a lot of things to say about this episode because there were a lot of surprises in this episode. Some things I was expecting and some things I definitely wasn't expecting. So I actually don't know where to start in this review because, like I said already, there are a lot of things that I want to say. But I guess I should speak about what happened in the episode in general. So this episode was about basically wrapping a couple of things up. For example, it is pretty clear that after this episode, most of the characters have, well, already their mindset fixed on what they want to do. For example, Akari already knows what she wants to do. She wants to be with Jirou. She wants to do that. She doesn't want anything else. Shiori also wants that. Shiori has been more straightforward. She has been more, adventuretive with Jirou. She wants to also be with Jirou. She also has her mind fixed in what she wants to do. And Jirou, well, I mean, you can say yes and no, but for the most part, he already knows, even though he doesn't want to admit what he has to do after this episode. He has to basically decide with who he wants to be. So, I mean, that is one of the topics or one of the things that you can take out of this episode that I guess you can say almost everybody is now fixed in their mind into what they want to do, which is something really good because, I mean, that is something we have been wanting to see since the episode, or I should say since the first episode, because we want people that are, straightforward with what they want. But at the same time, I guess if that happened in the first episode, there wouldn't be that much of a story. There wouldn't be that much of surprises and, cool interaction. So I guess it is a good thing that it took this time for both of the main girls to be assertive, to be decisive, to be, really secure into what they want. So when you see it in that perspective, I guess it makes sense that it took this long. And the other thing that happened in this episode is that we saw Jirou hanging out with both Shiori and Akari, something that doesn't happen very often. I don't know if this is the first episode that did that. I don't remember, to be honest, but yeah, we saw Shiori hanging out with Jirou at the start of the episode, and then the other part of the episode was Jirou hanging out with Akari, and we get to see a pretty different perspective of how Jirou hangs out with Shiori and how Jirou hangs out with Akari. We already knew somehow how he hanged out with each of them, but I mean, this episode was more clear evidence of how he feels hanging out with Shiori and how he feels hanging out with Akari. For example, when he's with Shiori, he's more shy, he doesn't know how to act, he doesn't know what to do, so yeah. And when he's with Akari, he's more confident, he's more secure with himself, he's more out there, he's more outgoing, he can say whatever he wants, he can act however he wants. So yeah, there is definitely some difference in the way the relationship between them two, Akari and Jirou, and Shiori and Jirou, have been developing until now, because when you see them interacting with each other, there's definitely a difference there. Of course, that doesn't mean that Jirou likes one more than the other just by the way he's acting, although I still think that he does like Akari more than Shiori, but you shouldn't just be able to decide who he likes more just by the way he was acting in this episode. You should take everything that happened in the last episodes and sort of make your mind on who he likes more. And yeah, we saw that in this episode, and the episode ended with basically how it started. I mean, this episode started and ended with how the first episode started, which was by them being in the shrine, because if you remember correctly, the first episode started with both Shiori and Akari being in the shrine, having a prayer, and the episode also ended with them both being in the shrine. It was kind of fun and actually surprising how they took a race to see who got there first, kind of symbolizing that whoever got there first was going to stay with Jirou. We also saw kind of symbols and kind of cameos, I don't know how you can say, foreshadowing of Jirou being older with a person. And yeah, it was actually kind of fun how that ended. And like I said a couple of moments ago, Jirou, for his part, is almost getting there. It's almost to the point where he recognized that both Shiori and Akari like him. For example, there was a scene, I think it was in the middle of the episode, when he was having an inner dialogue where he almost arrived to the conclusion that the only reason why Shiori kissed him is because, well, she had to somewhat like him. He almost got to that conclusion, but I think he was interrupted or something like that. And then when he was hanging out with Akari, he was also having an inner dialogue, thinking that maybe Akari was actually doing all the things she was doing because she actually wanted to be with him. So I mean, he didn't exactly get to that conclusion, to both of those conclusions by the end of the episode, but yeah, he's definitely more now closer than ever. And well, like I said at the beginning, Akari and Shiori, for their part, already have their mind set, so yeah, there is no arguing that with with them too. And I guess I should start speaking out what everybody is thinking, and that is, why did the episode end like that? Why did the episode end with them two? And by them two I mean Akari and Jirou, because of course they are the two main protagonists. Why did the episode not end by them two, you know, being together, by being actual a couple? Because the episode ended with them two, well, basically how they started in a way, because they're not more than just, you know, roommates, if you can call it like that, or couples that the school required them to be. And the same with Shiori. I mean, it ended with them two just being childhood friends. So yeah, when you see it that way, you can see that there are some things that were left unwrapped, undone. So yeah, there is the question, why did it end like that? Because some things were actually, you know, wrapped, and some other things were actually left undone. In some ways, it did actually feel like an ending episode, like the 12th episode, because the way it was handled, some things that were demonstrated to us, yeah, it definitely felt like it was the last episode, like the 12th episode. But in some other ways, it felt like, you know, there was still something more coming up, there was still something more to come. And what I am about to say will not be surprising or shocking to any of you all, because I guess all of you think the same thing that I do regarding the 12th episode, and that is that, well, the episode ended like that because it had another season in mind. That is why we see so many things left unfinished. The biggest one, of course, being that, well, Jirou didn't actually decide who he was going to stay with. So yeah, that is basically the reason. Like I said already, it is not shocking, it is not surprising that the reason the episode was handled this way was because, well, it had another season in mind. And I guess I shouldn't even say that it was only this episode, but the whole 12 episodes were made taking into account that there was probably going to be a second season. So yeah, of course it is more clear, it is more obvious in this 12th episode that it was made with another season in mind. So that is basically the reason why many of you may think that this episode was a little bit different than the other ones, because yeah, it was made like that in purpose. It was made like that because they probably have a second season in mind. There are a lot of things that happen in this episode that were made like that purposely. So of course it doesn't mean that a second season is actually going to occur, but nobody can deny that this 12th episode was made with a second season in mind, even if it happens or not. Nobody can deny that because it was pretty clear, it was pretty obvious that that was the intent. So yeah, regardless if it happens or not, yeah, it was basically because of that. Because a second season is planned or was planned. That is the reason why the episode was handled like that. And like I said already, it doesn't mean that it's going to happen, because for example in other animes you say, oh yeah, this is definitely going to have a second season, and it never comes. So you never know, it may actually happen to Fuufu Ijou. Hopefully it doesn't, but to be honest, I don't know. It's not like I have information or anything like that. I haven't actually investigated. I don't know what exactly is happening. I'm not actually up to date with what exactly is happening surrounding Fuufu Ijou. And if there is a second to, imagine all the things that could happen, because we all saw how this episode ended. We saw that it ended with both Jirou and Akari and Shiori and Minami being in the top 10, being in rank 8, and we all know what that means. That means now they can change partners, they can change couples. So it will be actually interesting to see if they're going to stick with their current partner or if they're going to change, because if they change, man, that can lead to a lot of cool interactions. It's going to be the opposite of what happened in these 12 episodes, where now Jirou and Shiori, Minami and Akari are going to be together, and like I said already, that's going to lead to a lot of cool interactions. Maybe they are going to regret changing partners, so who knows. But yeah, this anime, these 12 episodes were really great. One of the animes that I have definitely enjoyed the most. But yeah, that was my episode review. That was my 12 episode review. This was my review of the 12 episodes. I hope you enjoyed them all as much as I did. And well, that will be everything for me.